guys, welcome to another video by me, Nikki Jackson, and in today's video I am going to be sharing the process of painting this cute commission of this lovely little doggy, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I've sketched out the drawing of the lovely doggy onto a 6x6 inch deep edge canvas, and the customer required that the background be a nice light yellow, so I chose this gorgeous colour called Vanilla Bean. It's a Do Crafts Artiste colour craft paint, and I also lighten it up a little with some white and kind of give it a nice shabby chic kind of distressed look nearer the end. So I'm just laying down the first coat of that, give it a nice background, and I also paint the sides and the underneath the same colour. And here I am adding a second layer just to make it look really clear and nice. This painting was created in a lot longer time than the video suggests. I have created this as a kind of highlights video to show you all the painting stages, and instead of speeding it up, I have done it so that you can see it in kind of real time, so you can see the proper brush strokes and things like that. So yes, I hope you enjoy this. So I'm laying down a unusual colour, you probably would think, as the base for the white area on the dog. It's actually called driftwood, and it's going to create a fantastic undercoat for the shadows that are under the white fur. So I'm just adding that in a kind of thin layer on the areas that are going to be white. So now that's all dry, I'm now going in with a wash of white paint over the top. And I didn't want to add in a full coat of white because I want the driftwood colour to come through so that you can see the shadows. Some areas I added more white paint than others where there was strong highlights, and mostly it was a wash of white. This is just the colour Blanc from Do Crafts Artiste again, and yes, just adding in that layer. There are many layers that went into this painting, lots and lots of detail. So here I am adding in washes of small strokes for the fur, trying to leave gaps of the colour driftwood coming through to suggest all the different fur. I've also painted her tongue in a nice pink. I used Liquitex. What colour was it? It was Liquitex. It's a heavy body acrylic, and the colour is light portrait pink. It's a really nice, light, fleshy kind of colour pink. So now I am outlining the areas that will be black using a very fine brush, going around the eyes, and just sort of establishing the areas where there's going to be a lot of black. I've kind of done the painting of this a bit backwards, because normally you would do dark and then light, or light and then dark, whichever way you prefer. But I kind of mix and matched with this because I knew I needed to get certain colours to come through, and I needed to finish certain areas to make other areas work. And so it was kind of a bit of a puzzle, kind of doing different areas a bit at a time. I also left the eyes until a bit later on for good reason. I wanted to make sure all the base colours were blocked in first before I really started to get in on the detail of the facial features. So now I am putting in the lips and some shadowing around just under the nose and in the mouth, and putting in her nose. Her nose was actually made up of black, brown and some white. which I'll add in as you'll see a bit later. So now we're adding in some more black. These were just again light washes to begin with, just to get the base established. Again, as with my other paintings, I am using watercolour brushes. They are, I think they're Winsor & Newton aqua brushes made of sable hair, and these are perfect for blending acrylics, work really well, and my ideal choice for blending out and creating great paintings with. So now I am starting to put in a bit of detail for the eyes. I'm using a couple of different browns, an earth brown and a cocoa, and I added in a touch of dark grey into the corners of the eyes, just to suggest the whites of the eyes with a bit of shadow on them. I do a lot of fiddling around with the eyes to make sure they are just right. Adding in the black of the eye and also some highlights. At this angle it's a bit difficult to see the black bits of the eyes, but they're there, and like I said, I refine them again a bit later on. So now we're going into darkening the blacks, making sure it's exactly right, and I've purposely not put any of the stray furs in yet, but I'm now about to do that. As I said, this is a bit of a puzzle kind of painting this time. We're putting in different areas a bit at a time and adding detail. So here we go, I'm adding in her stray furs coming from her ears, using a very fine brush and getting the sort of fineness of those hairs. I'm making sure to look at the reference photo, which I've got in the right hand corner. You can just see a tiny bit of it. I'm looking at that all the time to make sure that I get the hair in the right place and all the features correct for this dog, because you want your painting to be like the actual animal that you're painting. You want the likeness to be there as much as is possible, and so I stick to the reference as much as I can. Try not to do too many of the hairs down by the white, because we need to add in the white still. There's still some more layers for that to go, but there's a few that I added in at the bottom there under the ears. So here I am refining the areas, going up to a bit of a bigger brush now and just making sure that's all correct. Now I'm starting to add in a few of her spots and a bit more definition around her lips. And now we're going over to the other side, darkening that area of black on her body, and we'll soon be adding in some fur for that side as well. I made sure to dry the areas that I'd already completed with my air gun. It's kind of like draws up the moisture and helps to dry the acrylic a lot quicker, so you can continue working on the painting. You can get those from most crafts supply shops. I think mine is made by Dove Crafts. So here I am adding in some more stray hairs. And going now into the rest of the face and the ear on the right hand side, and just blocking in more of the black for that, and then again adding in the fur as well. Being careful to go around the eyes without covering them up, and there we go, adding in the furs. So that's the fur done for the black hair. Now we're going into the white, and again being careful not to cover up the undercoat that I put for the shadow areas, adding in more white, and again looking at the reference, making sure to get it in the right places, not to go too heavy. Some areas were whiter than others again because of highlights, and being careful not to go over the black, but just to add it in with a bit of detail so that you can tell that it's fur. And again with the fine brush, adding in the white furs over the black, and you can see the painting is really starting to come together now. It takes a little while with all the different layers that you need to do, but once you start adding in those details, it really starts to come together. So now we're adding in some white fur on the top of her head, and I'm kind of mixing it in with a little bit of earth brown, and as you can see I'm adding earth brown again to the white areas on her body to really bring out the fur and the shadows. So fast forward quite a bit. Now we're adding in more white on her head, and I've added in some nice little spots that she has. She's got some lovely markings on her face, so I've added those in. And I'm now just finishing off some detail on her nose. You can see I've also added in more detail to her tongue. And now it's the finishing stages. We're adding in the charcoal pencil, which really gives it a nice finish and defines the areas that I want defined. And being careful not to go too heavy with it, but like I said before, you can lighten it up with an eraser if you go in a bit too hard. So I'm just lightly going around the edges, and now I'm softening with a cotton bud, which is also called a Q-tip in America, and just softening those lines. It gives it a really nice shadowy kind of effect. So I'm adding in some extra highlights with a Prismacolor white pencil. This gives the fineness that I needed, especially like for her whiskers that I added, and some little highlights that are in the black hair. You don't want too much, and the lightness of the pencil is just enough to give the illusion of some highlights in there. Now I'm just doing some little touch-ups where I want a bit more black, touching up the eyes a little bit more, making them more defined. And then you can hear our dogs barking. Somebody's put something through the door. So here is the finished painting. I hope you've enjoyed this process video, and let me know in the comments what you thought, and if you've got any questions about the supplies that I used or the techniques, and don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.